Good evening, one and all, and welcome to this today's webinar on Earth and Space Exploration Program. And today we have with us Dr. Siddharth Pandey, and he is the head of Center for Excellence in Microbiology, Amity University in Mumbai, and he is a research scientist, Blue Marble Space Institute of Science, USA. He's the director of Mars Society, Australia, and he is a former NASA scientist. So, as you may be aware that Amity University, in collaboration with Cosmic Adventures, will be conducting Earth and Space Exploration Program in Ladakh from June to October 2021. Dr. Siddharth Pandey is leading an initiative to establish India's first dedicated center for astrobiology and space biology research in the country. He is a space engineer with project management and leadership experience working with a team of astrobiologists. Prior to this, he has experience in building sample collection instrument for Mars and Venus surface missions while working at NASA USA. He has been engaged in education and public outreach activities and is motivated to use space as a tool to spread awareness, social consciousness, and inclusiveness within our community. He holds PhD degree in aerospace engineering from UN Space University, Australia, MS in space system engineering from Netherlands, and BTech in aerospace engineering from Amity University. I welcome Dr. Siddharth Pandey for today's webinar. I also welcome the Cosmic Adventures partners, Mr. Kunal Mehra and Sanjay Mehta. Welcome both of you for today's webinar. Earth and Space Exploration Program in Ladakh from June to October. It will be in the batches of like a one week batch. So there is an opportunity the student from Ladakh, if they can join such programs. Will to hear more about this. Dr. Siddharth will be talking about these programs, and we'll explore how the student can benefit and take part in this program. So I welcome you, Dr. Siddharth Pandey, and please go ahead with your presentation or introduction about this program.
Very good evening, everybody. Dr. Tasiji, thank you so much for hosting us, and warm greetings to all the students in Ladakh. I would like to start by saying that Ladakh is a place which many of us do not completely realize the importance it has for understanding our own planet and how it can help us prepare for going to other planets. And even now, we are only slowly realizing the importance of that place. And it is our endeavor to ensure that we work very hard and train and inspire the next generation of scientists to be aware and cognizant of these natural environments, that's natural resources that we have from which we can learn. So my presentation will mainly consist of some basic explanation about astrobiology, the field of astrobiology, and talking about how this field is so important and how it plays a role in each of our lives. And many of you might have thought about what astrobiology is, but for those of you who are not familiar with this term of astrobiology, it is mainly defined as the study of the origins, evolution, and the search for life in the universe. So many of you must have, at some point of time in your lives, thought about this question, whether are there any aliens in the space? Are there any other kind of life forms in the space? And it is a real field of research, a very scientific field of research, in which we try and understand what this life is on our own planet, and we try and understand how can we look for life on other places like Mars or different other worlds in our solar system. I would also like to point out that this is not astrology. Astrobiology is a very scientific discipline that follows the rationales of science, and it is a systematic process in which we go about our studies, and it is not astrology. And I should also point out that many people, when they read the word astrobiology, they only focus on the biology side in the word. Astrobiology, everybody thinks it's only biology. But by this talk, I will try and tell you that it is actually a little more than biology. It is actually when you're trying to look for life or trying to understand the process of life, you need to know and have a good understanding of the environment in which it is formed. And when we say environment, we are mainly talking about the rocks and the minerals in the land, or if you're talking about liquid, water, and the chemistries. So it has adequate amount of inputs from geology, from chemistry. And then when we are going to look for life, we are going to be using our machines, our rovers and robots. And that is where engineering also comes in. So most of the problems are tackled by engineering. And of course, there is physics when there is things like gravity that is involved, when there is radiation that is involved. So it's a very interdisciplinary field. I would like to point out this field of astrobiology. And I'm currently in Mumbai. And 2 years back, we were appointed to establish the first center in this field of astrobiology. And since then, we have been working towards this process. So perhaps just for a little bit of information for the audience, I will just very quickly give a quick overview of what has been my process. How did I reach into this field? I thought it might be a bit useful for the audience. So I've started here, of course. I did my high school studies and undergraduate studies in aerospace engineering, and I moved to IIT Bombay for 1 year as a research fellow. And from there, I was selected for doing a master's program in the Netherlands in Technical University of Delft, where I did my master's in aerospace engineering and specializing in space systems. And while I was doing my master's, I got the opportunity to go to NASA Ames. And I was there in NASA Ames for 2 years, initially as a summer intern, and then later on a research scholarship. And I was involved in various projects. And while I was there, I was introduced into this field of astrobiology to be able to understand some of these greater questions that many of us tend to not think about in our day-to-day lives. And I was able to find my true calling in the field of space that I would like to pursue, and met many like-minded people in the community as well. And subsequently from there, I decided that I would like to do more research. So I enrolled myself in a PhD program, and that was in Australia. So from US, I got the opportunity to move down to Australia, and I spent 4 years working on my PhD. And while I was doing my PhD, I was involved as an engineer in many different projects alongside scientists who were studying different environments on our own planet, which are very much like Mars. So these environments are actually called Mars analog planets, analog environments. And we understood that even in India, there are several such sites which are very analogous to Mars or help us understand many aspects of Mars. And towards that, we brought a project in 2016 to Ladakh. It was called the NASA Spatial-Bound India Expedition, which was held in 2016 in Ladakh. And following that, we were able to put together a team which has been working since then. And we are now here in India since 2019 and working towards conducting astrobiology studies in India. So what I would like to point out to many of the students here is if you are having a passion, if you are having a goal of what you would like to do, you don't have to be, the smartest or the richest person to do that. You just need to be very curious and be willing to take up those studies and keep committed to it. As long as you're committed to it and you keep trying different things, you will find out that there are different ways in which it can be done. So even though this was my path to do it, which was quite long and it took me all around, you are right here in India. So I had to go all the way around this world to realize the importance of astrobiology. While I hope many of you can understand and appreciate that there are several different things you can learn while you're here in India itself and be able to achieve, whichever position or whichever profession you'd like to do. So we are trying to bring those resources, those expertise through our collaborations to India and to do that work in India. So we would like to enable and inspire and empower you to do that kind of work. So hopefully some people here would be able to pick up these kind of careers in the next few years. So as Dr. Tashi has very nicely pointed out, this will be the first project in India, the first ever project that will be undertaking Earth and space studies. And it is a field project, very much in the field, where we are going to be inviting scientists, leading researchers from different parts of the countries, different countries who will be coming in. We are having several international collaborations, some of which are seen in the logos on the right side, from UK, from Spain, and there are some from US who will be traveling to India. And these scientists will be staying in the field, and we will be taking students, a total of 400 students over a period of 5 months, and they will be taught 3 different themes. So understanding how does Ladakh help us understand about the origin of Earth? How do we understand about how life might have started on our planet? That is the first theme, about understanding the past. The second theme is about climate change. As many of you staying in Ladakh would be more aware than many of us, that there are some very visible changes that are taking place in Ladakh. And we are here to understand and learn from Ladakh as to how those climate change aspects will affect the rest of the country in the next few years, and also how will it affect Ladakh in the next few years. So many of you who are passionate about the environment in Ladakh and would like to work on ensuring that Ladakh is protected, you will get to see different ways in which the climate change is being monitored and assessed, and what role you can play in the next few years in ensuring that all of that information is passed on to the government, to the right departments in the government and the industries, so that accurate attempts can be taken to mitigate the harmful effects of climate change. And the last theme, which is I think the most popular theme right now and many people are excited about, is the training for Mars exploration. So I will explain how Mars exploration is something which all the countries, including India, are planning to do, and how Ladakh and regions similar to Ladakh are helping us train for Mars exploration. And we will be leaving the information down the line as well. So one thing I'd like to point out is it is not just this 1 week of travel and expedition. It is about being part of this community. It is about joining this community, and down the line, getting mentorship and building a network that will remain with you and help you as you're moving into your further studies or deciding which career profession you would like to do. If you want to know whether you want to be a scientist or not, this is a great opportunity for you to get into. So I will talk again about this project, but let me just very quickly take you through some of the aspects of astrobiology. I'd also like to point out this project has actually been listed on the NASA website. It's an opportunity that has been open, and NASA has a department called NASA Astrobiology Program, and we are currently listed there. So they have also taken cognizance of the fact that such a project is taking place. And given the fact that there is a pandemic going on and there is very restricted travel, I think students in Ladakh who are able to take opportunity and make the most of this opportunity, you should do that, because without having to travel to other countries or other parts, you can do this very much by being in Ladakh. And in fact, the researchers and the subject matter experts and scientists are actually coming to you. So I think it is a great opportunity to be a part of. And of course, the deserving candidates will be receiving recommendation letter and mentorship and also certificates as they pass out from this program. And of course, we have recently partnered with Dr. Tashi as well, and we will be working closely with the Ladakh Science Foundation and ensuring that there is a close bond between the university and Cosmic Adventures and Ladakh Science Foundation to ensure that at all stages we are involving the student volunteers as well as building different kind of learning projects that can remain there for a long time to come from now. So I think the main thing to ask yourself at this point is, what is it exactly that excites you the most? And what change is it that you would like to bring about? And therefore, you decide what is your challenge. So the main thing that is to point out here is that every individual is different. Every person is different. So we are not trying to convert everybody to become a space scientist. But the main thing is that by thinking about these questions, you are able to better appreciate what is it that you personally are passionate about. And that is the most important thing. And we feel that through curiosity about space and the unknown, many times we start thinking and we start pondering about things which normally we never sit and ponder about. So we want to use the excitement about space to be able to inspire you and to be able to bring out the best in you. I think that is the basic motivation with which we are doing this specific project. As you would know, our planet is one such planet, in our solar system. And our solar system, which is basically a sun with all the planets and moons orbiting around it, is one such system in a massive neighborhood. And there are several millions of such neighborhoods in our galaxy and millions of such galaxies that form superclusters. So all in all, we are 300 billion stars in our own Milky Way galaxy and 200 billion galaxies in the universe. So when I was growing up and I was in school, this was the question that really bothered me the most, to understand, are we alone? How is it that is it a matter of chance that life happened here on this one regular planet? And how is it that life could not have ever happened or is currently happening on any other planet? Is it existing or not? So that was my personal question, and that led me into this field of astrobiology. Now consider this image of our solar system, which many of you might have seen in your school textbooks. And it is a very common photograph that many people might have seen with all our neighboring planets. And the Earth is somewhat always shown in a similar size and at a similar distance to many of the other planets. And I normally talk about how many of you might have seen this movie Lagan, where you are having the main hero, which is Amir Khan, and it is almost like our planet Earth. It is almost shown as a center figure, or the center role figure, amongst an entire team of individuals, or in the case of our solar system, in the neighborhood of planets. But the reality is that our planet is very, very small and is, you can say, size-wise, very, very regular if you to consider it to many of the other planets around it. In fact, we are in a neighborhood of gigantic planets. We are in an environment that is surrounded by other planets, which we do not completely even understand. So even on our own planet, whenever there is one cyclone or two cyclones or three cyclones, we are having systems that can be able to understand how did these cyclones form. But if you look at Jupiter or if you look at Saturn, there are at least thousands of such kind of storms taking place at any given point of time. So what excites me is the fact that we do not have a complete understanding of how these other worlds function, how do they operate. And that is something which brings me much closer to our own planet. If you look at just the two planets, Venus and Mars, in our own vicinity, Venus and Mars were formed around the same time as Earth, around 4.6 billion years ago. But today's reality is very, very different. Venus is a very, very hot, dense planet which is having acidic clouds, and you can't even see the surface because the cloud cover is so thick. And on the other side, we have Mars, which is a slightly smaller planet, but it is cold, dry, and it has lost most of its atmosphere over a period of time. But they both started at the same time, just like Earth. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that how do we understand what Earth is going to be like, many years from now? Will it be something similar to Venus, or whether it will be something similar to Mars? So by studying these two planets, we are actually being able to understand how will our Earth go. Will it go towards Venus in terms of being very hot and acidic and very gassy, or will it be like Mars? So by studying these planets, we are actually studying our own planet. And there are several aspects of our own planet that we study, which helps us understand about these other planets as well. So the point to take home from this slide is that all of these planets and these worlds are interconnected. We are living in exciting times. Many of you might have seen very recently that NASA landed a rover on the surface of Mars. And this is one of the largest and one of the most exciting rovers to ever have gone, one of the most complicated machines to operate on a different planet. There are several individuals who are part of this team who actually have Indian origins. And who knows, in a few years from now, some of you perhaps could be, in fact, be working on a similar kind of a rover or a different kind of a spacecraft, which is, operating on a different planet. Dr. Jennifer Blank from NASA Ames and Blue Marble Space, she, in fact, is a visiting faculty at our center. And just last year, she had visited us and she had worked with the students on several different kinds of workshops in astrobiology. And she, in fact, is a Mars rover scientist. She has been analyzing several data that has been coming back from these rovers. A similar world, a more exciting world to Earth, is a moon of Saturn called Titan. It is very exciting because it is the only other world in our solar system where liquid is found on the surface. You're having liquid rains, you're having lakes, there is all kinds of cloud systems that form, but not of water. It is made out of methane. So just like on Earth, we find that liquid water tends to support a lot of kind of life. Who knows that Titan might in fact be having life, but a different kind of life than Earth. Some more very interesting worlds in our solar system. If you go further away, you will find Enceladus and Europa, which are actually two moons, one of Saturn and the other of Jupiter. And on the surface, these are covered in ice. But underneath the surface, they actually have liquid water. And this was confirmed by the Cassini spacecraft as it was flying by them. And this is another exciting discovery because we have found on Earth that underneath our oceans, there are several hydrothermal vents, which are basically like just there's a lot of gas and a lot of material that is coming from the ocean floor. And around these hot hydrothermal vents in our oceans, we find life forms. And these similar kind of life forms could perhaps be also existing on these icy moons. So life, as we know it, has different ways of surviving. And we find that on Earth. And the more we see life adapt and survive in extreme environments on Earth, we are finding these different worlds to be favorable to actually be able to sustain life. Now brings me to a photograph which might be familiar to many of you. So this is a site which is located in Sokar in the Changchang region. Many of you might have visited Sokar and you might have seen these kind of structures that are found. And this photograph was taken in 2016 when our team was there. And Ladakh, how is Ladakh an exciting site? Well, Ladakh is having low oxygen, high ultraviolet radiation exposure. It is having several different sites which are at a cold, high altitude, dry environment, and they are very diverse in nature. You know, you are having the hot springs, we are having deposition of ice, which is permanently covered with soil, which is called permafrost. You're having different kinds of glaciers. So the microbial life that lives in these kind of extreme environments actually helps us study and understand what kind of life might actually be existing on other planets. So that is why, in a nutshell, Ladakh is a very good site to study for life which exists in these extreme environments that can help us inform about Mars exploration. So a little bit of information about our center here in Mumbai. So our center is the first center in India that is dedicated for astrobiology research. There are different researchers in our country who have been doing astrobiology, but we are the first center whose main objective, sole objective, is focused on astrobiology. We are focusing on different regions in India. Ladakh in the Himalayas is one, and Lunar Crater in central India in Maharashtra is the other side. That is the first thing that we are focusing on. We are also involved in building some experiments that will be launching to space. So we are interested in doing some microgravity research, wherein we are trying and understanding how does life grow in space. That is a very exciting portion, and we were selected for 2 flights for ISRO launch as well that we are working on. And alongside that, we are involved in a lot of student teaching and mentoring and engaging with the public on space exploration discussions. And there are several partnerships that we have formed over time. And these are some of our primary partners with whom we work on these different topics. So like I said, Ladakh has been like early Mars. Since 2016, we have been partnering with scientists from NASA Ames, NASA JPL, from University of New South Wales, Australia, ICER in Pune, Luleå University in Sweden, Blue Marble Space in US, the SETI Institute in US, Mars Society Australia, and Birbal Sahni Institute of Paleosciences in Lucknow. And we have been conducting joint studies to explore how Ladakh can actually help us in our Mars exploration work. So astrobiology is mainly trying and understanding how does life grow in extreme environments. we look at regions which are hot, and we find life that actually lives very well in high temperatures of 70 to 80 degrees and sometimes even 90 degrees. We also look at very cold areas where life is surviving in sub-zero temperatures. We look at salty regions. So salt, as many of you know, actually breaks down the molecular structure of life. But we find that there are certain organisms which are adapted to live in very, very salty conditions. And on Mars, we find these very salty kinds of areas as well. And if we had to find any life on Mars, it would most likely be life that can survive in a very cold, salty, dry environment. We are also interested in seeing how do ultraviolet radiation affect organisms, and we find a lot of life. You might have seen these kind of lichens that are growing on rocks, completely exposed to high levels of ultraviolet radiation in Ladakh. And a lot of research publication came out of the work that we conducted in 2016, and a lot of students were able to get mentorship. They were able to do their final year projects. They enrolled in PhD programs and are doing very well in their careers since then. And this was just a team of 30 people that you see on the left side in the Hundar Valley. But this time we are opening it up and trying to get more and more students who can work with us on such projects. Amity is working towards establishing a research station that is focused on Mars research. This will be located in the Sokar region. And to start with, it will basically be a campsite that will involve students working on different projects guided by several researchers. On the right side of the slide, you'll see some names from different organizations from NASA, European Space Agency, Australian Centre of Astrobiology, UK Centre of Astrobiology. These are our colleagues who have been working for the last 15 to 20 years in this particular field. And we are trying to establish this center here in Ladakh that will help students, researchers in India to work on different aspects of Mars exploration. So these are the different research scientists and experts who will be working on the different aspects of design, development, operations of the Mars Amity Station, instructors. And now, of course, we will be working closely with several scientists in ISRO as well, who have been working in different aspects of Mars analog research and contributing to the education and research activities that will be conducted at the station. So just to highlight some of the main technologies that are critical to be tested in these Mars analog environments, on the right side of the slide, you will find the communication testing, because when you're trying to communicate with a team that is in Mars, it takes 20 minutes for the communication to reach Mars and 20 minutes for the communication from the Mars team to send back information to Earth. So this communication delay also affects a lot of the operations. So we try to test out our different operations and procedures by trying to simulate this operations, this kind of communication delay. Also, when you're on Mars, you're actually having to do a lot of low power and low bandwidth operations. So we can test these kind of systems very well by putting people in these remote, outdoor, isolated environments and testing these kind of systems. Then coming to the actual systems that will be sent to Mars, we are talking about different kind of spacesuits that need to be tested, the different kinds of rovers, sensors, energy storage systems, and also solid and liquid waste treatment and recycling systems. So this is to show you and to try to give you an insight into the different kinds of systems that over the next few years we will be planning to test in Mars, in India, which is of course Ladakh environment. So there are several different aspects of an analog site that enable this kind of research. One is the psychological aspect as well. When you're in this isolated outdoor environment, it plays a lot of role on the human psyche of the under-trainee astronaut who is working in that environment. It affects the performance of the people working in that environment. And of course, there are different systems as well, which have to operate in these extreme temperatures and the low oxygen environments. So they can be tested in these kind of environments easier than doing the tests in the other parts of the country. So I should also point out that there is an instrument called ExoMars Habit that was actually tested in Ladakh in 2016, which will be flying to Mars in 2022, next year. So I think that was a very exciting thing, where an actual instrument that will be flying to Mars was actually tested in Ladakh. And there are different aspects of the hot springs and other similar sites in Ladakh that we are aiming to also continue testing. Of course, this is very important for us to ensure that while we are doing our research, we want to work with the next generation of Ladakh. We are interested in working very closely with the different schools and the different children who are studying right now in some of these very remote schools, and to give them an opportunity to be involved and to engage with us in different kinds of outreach activities where we visit them. So in 2016, we visited 4 schools in Ladakh, in Puga, in Panamik, and there were students who had come from Rengdum as well, and also in Sekmol and in Leh. And in all our interactions, we found so much of excitement where students were really excited to understand what are these different experiments we are planning to do. So we felt very, very humbled by the amount of affection and interest that we got from these students. And we will endeavor to do more and more such kind of activities whenever we will be having our free time while we are doing our research, to work closely with the school students, the primary as well as secondary school students of Ladakh. Another site, very quickly, I will try to end this presentation so we can take some questions as well. Another site away from Ladakh is actually a crater site in central India called Lunar Crater. And you see on the left side of this slide, you will see I'm standing with some of my colleagues, Dr. Jennifer Blank from NASA and Dr. Jonathan Clark and Annalie Beatty from Mars Society of Australia, where we visited this specific crater site in India. Now, what exactly is a crater site? Crater site is basically whenever a piece of big rock comes from space, it comes and it makes an impact on our planet. And in this case, it landed inside India. It landed on India almost 500,000 years ago. It made this impact. It was so large and it had so much of energy that it created this cavity. And this cavity is basically what is a crater. And there are several different crater sites on our planet. But what makes Lunar very, very unique is that it is a crater that is formed in basalt. And basalt is a very hard rock, which is basically a volcanic rock. Our entire Deccan Plateau is basically a volcanic rock that was formed when a volcano erupted, and the magma that was coming out, it cooled down, and that formed the landmass of peninsular India, which is basically Deccan Plateau. So Lunar Crater is a fresh crater, a relatively fresh crater, even though it is 500,000 years ago, very well preserved in central India. And on the right side of the slide, you will find a photograph of Jezero Crater on Mars. That entire region, not just the small circle in the center, that entire region is one edge of the crater. And that is also formed in basalt. So Lunar Crater is one of the only 2 or 3 craters on Earth which is similar to a crater on Mars. So how exciting is that? That right here in our own country, we are having a crater site which is similar to the crater on Mars. And Jezero Crater is basically where the NASA rover has landed. It has landed right inside this crater of Mars, somewhere over here. And how does this help us? Lunar Crater is a site that we can study and understand how we will be exploring the Jezero Crater. And this NASA rover that has landed inside Jezero Crater, one of the main aspects it will be studying is actually look for life. So NASA has sent a rover to Jezero Crater to look for life, and the work that we will be doing in Lunar Crater in Maharashtra will hopefully help and aid some of the work that NASA will be doing in terms of exploration of Mars. So this is the other second important site that I thought I will point to you. And I talked about the microgravity research. So here you see a very nice photograph of our own motherland from space that has been taken from the International Space Station. So ISRO gives a very good opportunity where experiments can actually be flown by researchers and also students into space. And one such opportunity that was granted to us came by, wherein we were able to come into close contact with ISRO, where we could actually put a small experiment that was launched into space, that will be launched into space, hopefully within the next coming few weeks or maybe a month or so. We will be launching the first space biology experiment into space. It is a small experiment, very small, the size of a small video cassette, which some of you might have seen, a very old school video cassette. And basically the experiment involves a camera that studies the growth of a plant sample when it is exposed to microgravity environment. So I don't want to go into details about this experiment, but just to point out that perhaps the students in Ladakh will be very happy to work with you and perhaps design a small experiment that can be sent into space. So this is another very exciting opportunity that we can propose together to ISRO and work on it. So finally, I would like to end my presentation by saying that we have a lot of work to do in front of us before we reach Mars. The first step is to identify the regions on our own planet and test our instruments and experiments in those regions, which is what we are doing in places like Ladakh. And the next step is to do experiments in low Earth orbit. And ISRO is providing us opportunity to do that. And there are also the space station, International Space Station opportunities that can be utilized. So we are working towards that. We will be launching our microgravity experiment in this year. And we have been doing work in Ladakh from 2016, and we'll be doing some more work this year. We will be working towards proposing experiments that can be tested on the moon. And hopefully within the next 2 to 3 years, we are able to achieve that. And down the line, in 5 to 6 years, we will be planning to land some instruments as part of a larger mission for doing some live detection payload experiments on Mars in about 5 to 6 years from now. So that is our vision of working towards enabling research in India for doing experiments in these different environments. And we will be welcoming students to join us in Ladakh and also apply for positions at Amity University to work closely with us and be able to make this happen. So I will like to end with this quote from one of the mentors and people I used to follow, late Kalpana Chawla, is the path from dreams to reality exists. May you have the vision to see it, courage to get on it, and the perseverance to get through it. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I look forward to interacting with all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Siddharth Pandey, for giving a very in detailed presentation about the Earth and Space program to be organized in Ladakh, and also your experience or your journey from India to NASA to Australia, and now again working in India for such a prestigious university and many organizations. And we really appreciate your initiative of starting this Earth and Space Exploration program in Ladakh. And it's really a very good opportunity to all of us to be a part of this great mission. I would say. So in fact, Ladakh offers too much very good platform to experiment, particularly the macrobiology experiments and many other things you discussed in your presentation. I hope the student from Ladakh can also participate, and they can take advantage of such opportunity. And you don't need to travel to some other countries to attend the program, and the program is coming in front of your doorstep. So it's a great opportunity. So there, as he said, there will be a and this program spends about 3-4 months. So there's ample windows the students can join in some of the programs. So thank you very much, Dr. Siddharth Pandey. And now the floor is open for the question and answer session. Then you can unmute and ask the questions. Question, yeah, not. Yeah. Anybody has the questions, please, you can ask the question. Yeah, okay, let them be ready with the questions. So in between, I would like to ask to Siddharth. So I got many queries from the students, like they said it's like a bit expensive, if they want to join, how they can join. So would you like to throw some light on that aspect?
Sure. I can completely understand that currently this program has been planned and conceived in close cooperation with Cosmic Adventures, who have been investing some of their own funds and bringing in researchers. All of that cost is being borne by Cosmic Adventures, a little bit by Amity, and whatever registration fee is being captured. So I would like to tell the students that please consider it as an investment from the future perspective. It is not just about 1 week. It is like investing into the future in terms of what you will be gaining out of it. But we also understand that it will be financially difficult for many people. And we are working to find some kind of sponsorship and aid from the government that can help bring out the participation cost for the students. So the only thing I can say at this point of time is hopefully we are able to get something. that can be offered in terms of some kind of sponsorship for the students in Ladakh, something like a need-based scholarship if they can demonstrate that they are not able to financially afford it. But at this point of time, it's difficult to commit because it really depends on the final amount of participation that we are also receiving, who can do this. So this is a program that is open for the next 3 years. This is the first year that we are going ahead for it. It is a great opportunity if you can join us this year. Even if you are not able to join us this year, hopefully if by the end of this season we have got some visibility, we will be able to get some acknowledgement from the government and get some funding that will help us bring down the registration fees. It might be possible to offer certain scholarships as well for the next season. But yeah, I think at this point we are still working very hard to get some scholarship for the students. That is the only thing I can say.
Any other questions?
Sir, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Sir, I'm basically asking. I have seen that Professor Charles Cockle will also be joining us. So is it true?
Professor Charles Cockle is an advisor for the project. We are yet to announce the final list of people who will be traveling and participating. We are still in the middle of interviews for the final resident scientists. We received almost 70 applications from scientists wanting to come to Ladakh, and there are only 5 to 6 positions for resident scientists. So we had to shortlist it down, and we are conducting the final interviews of people who will be traveling to India, who will be staying and mentoring the students. So hopefully by the next week or so, within this week, end of this week, we will be announcing the people who are planning to be the resident scientists for 2021 program. And there are several people who are helping us plan and execute this project. And Dr. Cockle, he's a close supporter of this project. He has, in fact, an organization in UK called UK Center of Astrobiology. And through the Earth Space Foundation, they have also donated some small amount of money towards purchase of equipment for this project. So hopefully we will be knowing in the next few weeks who are the final resident scientists who will be traveling for this particular project.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. I have one more question. I have already read about the stromatolites and all the other microfossil things that can be existed in the extremities of Ladakh. So will we explore all these places also? There can
Absolutely.
be Mars-like.
Absolutely, yes. We will be discussing all of those things. If I am not wrong, Surendu, I think you have also signed up already for this program. Is that correct? Your name looks very familiar.
Yes, yes, sir. I have already signed up, and I have been enlisted with Crew 2. Will be operating like a second week of June.
Okay, great. So now that you have registered for this particular program, there will be certain meetings and interactions that will be planned in the next few weeks. So you will be working with your crew to define your activities. So just wait for a couple of more weeks and we will be giving more information, and definitely the topics which you brought up will be covered.
Thank you very much, sir.
Dr. Siddharth, there is one question on the chat box. So, Rigzi Nangmo says why it is important to study other planets, and also why it is important to. This is the question, right? Yeah.
That's a very good question by Rigzin. Why is it important to study other planets? So, it can be broadly defined in two purposes. Like I spoke about Venus and Mars. Venus, Mars, and Earth were formed around the same time. But in today's reality, they are all very different planets. So what happened? What caused them to be so different? So by studying other planets, like our neighboring planets, Venus and Mars, we are able to understand our own planet. Because whenever you conduct an experiment, you don't do it just once. You do it 3 times. So then you are able to understand that whatever you're looking for or whatever you're trying to prove, you need to have enough amount of data, statistical data, to prove whether it happened right or not. So similarly, you can't study Earth as an isolated system. If you're trying to understand Earth, you have to understand the other planets around as well, and try and see that whatever holds good for Earth also holds good for some of these other planets. So that is the first point to your answer, that we study other planets to help us understand our own planet. The second point is actually driven by scientific curiosity, to be able to understand what are the different kinds of processes that happen out there. There is an innate curiosity that is there within us, which is driven by science, which makes us help understand that how is a particular phenomenon happening. And while doing that, we uncover so many different things that benefit us down the line. I see one more question. Why tell us about Mars exploration? So as many of you would know, Mars as a planet is a very exciting planet for many of us, because it is having an atmosphere. We have seen in the past, it was very much like Earth. It is having several kinds of minerals on its surface. And in terms of humanity, it is one of the most favorable places outside of Earth where we can actually live and sustain ourselves. So there are several different reasons for which Mars is important. And over the last 30 years, there have been several different missions to Mars to understand and uncover how exactly did Mars come to be as to what it is today, and also to understand whether life existed there or not.
Excuse me, sir, I have a question.
Yes.
What does the astrobiologist like? What do they? What are their major studies? What do they study about?
Okay. So there are different aspects of astrobiology. Some are about understanding the origin of life. Where did life start? So that is a very big area within astrobiology that people try to study. Did it start on land? Did life actually start inside the oceans? Or did life actually come to Earth from other planets through meteorites? And some of the ingredients of life, where did they come from? Where did they form? And it's not just important to understand the ingredients, but what was the recipe? If you're trying to make a particular dish, it's not just important to know the ingredients. It is important to know how to cook. What was that cooking procedure? So the same thing people try to understand about life as well, that what were the right circumstances in which life actually started. That is the first thing. The second thing is try and understand how did life go from single cell to multicellular. So we all know life started off, it was very simple, single cell life, but slowly and steadily it's evolved over time. So that evolution process of life is the other aspect of life which is studied. And finally, we try and understand whether life can be found on other planets. So it involves different fields of studies, ranging from molecular biology, microbiology, biochemistry, even geology for that matter, because rocks actually help us understand the past of our planet. The different fossils that are formed, they're actually formed inside rocks. So a very important aspect of astrobiology is actually geology. And also there is engineering involved, because at the end of the day, you have to build systems to be able to explore and discover the new things. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, there is some question in the chat book, Siddharth. You can just have a look.
Yes. I'm just scrolling up. So my question is, have aliens ever visited Earth? So far, there is no credible proof that has been offered by any group around the planet. There are obviously a lot of stories that do the circulation, and there are several unexplained phenomena. But to make that leap from something that is unexplained to immediately forcefully saying that there are aliens is not correct in my opinion. So till now, we have not seen any credible evidence of any kind of extraterrestrial life or aliens who have visited Earth. That I hope that answers your question, Najma. And another question is, galaxies look stationary. So why do scientists say that they rotate? So it's another very interesting question. So it all depends on the frame of reference. Obviously, when you're rotating in our own planet, you're seeing the sky and the stars move. But that is because you're rotating in your frame of reference and looking at them. But if you were on space as an astronaut in the International Space Station, you will not be seeing that rotate at the same speed because you're orbiting the Earth at a different speed. So your own frame of reference changes the way in which you see these objects, whether they're rotating or not rotating. So basically, it depends on what frame of reference you are and how are you looking at different things. Another question is, sir, which other reasons other than soccer could possibly be significant in relation to astrobiology, specifically in Ladakh? So that is a very good question. And in fact, we would like your help to probably explore some of these areas. So in 2016, we visited some other sites. We went to Panamik hot springs. So normally a lot of these hot spring sites are very interesting for us. So we visited Panamik, Chumathang, and Puga. And we are also interested in seeing some of the high passes, looking at some of these glacial sites, because we find that there are some organisms that live inside the meltwater pool. And those organisms are also very interesting to see that how are they living in such low oxygen, high UV radiation exposure environments in such cold temperatures. So those are some of the other sites that are important from astrobiology perspective. And similarly, lakes, which are very, very salty. So basically saltwater lakes, hot springs, glaciers, permafrost, and we have only, I think, explored the tip of the iceberg. There are so many other regions in Ladakh, which I'm sure can help us in different ways about astrobiology. Another question is, our Earth is moving with uniform speed, or the speed is accelerating or decelerating? If it is not moving with uniform speed, then what will happen after so many years? It's a very good question. Earth is rotating at a stable, it is having a stable angular momentum with which it has stabilized over a long period of time. And that has remained, that has caused after millions and millions of years of how the solar system was formed. But our moon, on the other hand, is slowly, steadily moving away from us. So these things happen at such a short rate that it will be millions of years before anything catastrophic can happen. So there is nothing to worry about that right now. So another question from Rigzen is asking why Ladakh is important from Mars. So I will just reiterate some of the points that I said. The high altitude, cold, dry, desert environment gives a very unique environment for microbial organisms to evolve. And that is why Ladakh is important, because it offers all of these things: the low oxygen, high UV radiation, and dry environment, very little amount of rainfall. That leads to certain circumstances in which this life has evolved. And that we find in Ladakh. And also permafrost, which is basically permanently covered ice, which is found on Mars, but is very rarely found on Earth. And we have that in Ladakh. Sir, can a star turn into a planet? No, star cannot turn into a planet, because planets are basically materials that were formed when the star itself was forming. It is a rubble material that has kind of coagulated over a long period of time and formed into planet. Sir, would you be studying the famous moonland at Lamayuru also, or will that be considered only a glacial-fluvial landform? So good, that's a good question. No, this time we will not be going to Lamayuru, but we know many of our colleagues who have been visiting that site and been studying how the terrain has evolved over time. Dr. Vinita Fartial at BSIP Lucknow, she's a close colleague of ours, and she has done some work in that region. A question from Stanzen: it is believed that billions of years ago, Mars also had water. Is it true? So Mars was actually part of Earth. This is something that has been confirmed. And there was a large, sorry, I mistook the question. You're talking about Mars. I thought you're talking about Moon. So yes, very much. It has been confirmed that Mars had water on its surface. It was in fact confirmed by the Mars Science Laboratory, or the Curiosity rover, which is still active on Mars. And we have seen proof of that in the form of different stones and different formations of dried up riverbeds and streams and gullies over time. Just like we find sometimes even in Ladakh, you might be finding some dried up gullies and slopes. You might have found some kind of, whenever there is a glacial melt and you have water that flows down, over a period of time, it forms these cavities in the rocks. So we find similar such cavities on Mars as well. So that has helped us confirm that there was water. Definitely there was water on Mars. Sir, can we live on Mars in future? I heard such rumors. So you can live in space, right? Because you're having your own pressure system, you're having your suit. Like right now, astronauts are living in the International Space Station in space. So if you're living on Mars, you will have to live inside a closed environment, which is having its own oxygen and its own pressure and temperature, and also radiation protection. But I think it is still a fair time away before which regular people can live for long duration on Mars. And I think we should really focus on making our own planet habitable. There are so many deserts and cold, dry environments where humans are not really living right now, and they are very much more comfortable than living on Mars. So if we can help build systems and life support systems and houses to live in these extreme environments, we can definitely live on Mars. So what will happen if we can find a life? If we can find a life existing on Mars? It's a very good question. Will it make headlines? Do you think it will make headlines? Do you think people will care? What will happen to all the religions? It is a very deep question that you have asked. Whether it will make a difference to humanity if we find life on a different planet or not. Well, one thing is for sure, we will confirm, and it will also depend on whether that life is like Earth life or is it a different kind of life altogether. So it will help us confirm whether the life we have on Earth is unique to Earth or it is actually a different kind of life. If it is a different kind of life, that would mean that life can exist anywhere. It can happen in our solar system, it can happen in any other solar system also. And perhaps there will be a lot of interest then to explore some of these different worlds over time. But if it is Earth life, if it is similar to Earth life, that is also very interesting. That how is it that life started on Mars and it also started on Earth, and how is it existing in these kind of different environments? So it really depends on who you ask. Some people might not even care, but for many of us who are thinking a lot about such things, it would bring about a complete change of ideas. Another question, sir, is it because of the fourth dimension space-time manifold creating the gravitational microlensing? How do astronauts use this to find various galaxies and planets? So this is still a very futuristic concept of trying to be able to travel through space, but trying to alter gravity. And I think you must have seen the movie Interstellar where they do this. So it is beyond my knowledge as well, so I don't want to comment on it. But I encourage you to keep thinking and trying understanding these concepts as well. So while we are thinking about exploring space, we should also try and understand ways in which we can explore our own planet. Is it possible to make a battery that we can use for thousands of years? So why don't you help us? These are the kind of questions we want people to ask. That how can we find different kinds of power systems that we can use for long duration of time? So as of now, the nuclear energy is the closest we have been able to make, because if you are able to harness energy, you can use it for a long duration. But that is where things become difficult, that how do you make it into a battery to be able to use it for long durations? So we encourage you to continue thinking like this about such questions.
Excuse me, sir, I have a question. Hello.
Yes, Ahmed.
Sir, I'm from Kargil, Ladakh. Actually, I'm a lecturer of zoology. Actually, I want to ask a question related to our students. That I have been teaching for the last 10 years. Here, the students are extremely very well, good, talented students, but they don't have any scope to go elsewhere in the India because of inaccessibility. They remain cut off for about 6 months. But they want to explore Ladakh. Actually, they ask us questions related to the different type of organisms which exist in our planet as well as in Ladakh. So I want to ask you a question, sir. What are different fields of study in Ladakh, and how they can join these choruses, what you are offering here, how they can join? Secondly, sir, I have a question related to science. Actually, I never understand this. We have studied about the panspermia or exogenesis theory. So exogenesis which says that the life came from other planets, that's exogenesis, but has been totally rejected by the scientists. So I want to ask why the scientists are still trying to explore that the life has come from other planets. So it has been proven that the life was originated by combination of different type of these elements, or you can say molecules like ammonium, carbon dioxide, hydrogen. So why they are still trying to explore these things, that life has came from other planets like Mars? They are trying to explore. So I don't understand this, sir. Actually, please can you clear me the doubt? And another question: how the students can join your program?
Okay. Thank you. I will answer your question, Ahmed ji. So this is the start of the program that we have done. Amity University being a private university, you know, we
Sir,
have
actually
taken this.
the sir, excuse me. Actually, the students are not so much financially sound to finance these programs. They are mostly poor students. In government schools, we teach the poor students. So they ask us question about this, but you have provided us a good platform. So I will tell them definitely. Can you please answer?
Yes, yes, Ahmed ji. I was just answering the
Yes, sir.
same question that since 2016, we have been doing interactions with several schools. Many of them were remote isolated schools. We had a school from Rengdam, which I think is close to Kargil as well, where we interacted with several such students, and we will continue to interact with students.
Yeah.
Participation in programs, registration programs, also is something I'm working closely with Dr. Tashi, and we're trying to find ways in which we can get some sponsorship from the government, in which some need-based scholarship can be given to students as well. So you
Yeah.
can convey to the students that we will definitely plan an outreach and engagement activity where we can spend one full day and answer some of the questions from your deserving students. So this is something we will definitely take up. So thank you for bringing that to our notice. In terms of
Thank you,
your
sir.
question on panspermia, it is a very
Yes, sir.
exciting field where people are trying to study how life might have come from space. And so far, nobody has been able to convincingly prove that it has taken place like that. There are a lot of um, there is a lot of material that is exchanged between Earth and space on a daily basis. There is tons and tons of kilograms of weight of material that enters into the Earth through the Earth's atmosphere. And some of this material comes from Mars, as Mars is orbiting. Some of it comes from outer space through comets and meteorites that are passing by.
Yeah.
And people are trying to understand that initially, when the Earth was just forming, how did these organisms start? So when you're trying to answer this question, that how did these organisms start, you want to rule out, you want to account for all the possibilities, that there could be some life that might have started here on Earth, but it could be that there was already some kind of complex organisms that existed in space that came from space and got implanted into Earth as well. So that is why people are looking at this question. That is why it is important, and you cannot rule it out, but it has still not been proven yet. I
Yeah.
hope that answers your question.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I see one question: study of high altitude biogeographical region, that too considering its possible similarity with Mars. Is it, according to you, in Ladakh, is a proof of Darwin's survival of the fittest theory? So Darwin's theory definitely applies, as we have all seen, that over a period of time, adaptability is a very, very strong proponent of life to live in such extreme environments. So you are very much right in that. And it is over a period of time that life has evolved over, and especially Ladakh. Ladakh is relatively, it's new geologically. It's a very, it's not billions of years old. It is hundreds and thousands of years old at the very maximum, or tens of thousands of years old. But even that duration is enough for organisms to actually evolve over time.
Yeah, any question you can ask, please.
I will be happy to share my email address as well for those of you who would like to ask me any question personally with regards to astrobiology or career related questions. I make it a point to answer any questions that come from students as well. So I will be leaving my email with Dr. Tashiji, and he can also share it in case people are more comfortable asking it over email.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Actually, my name is Jigmit, sir. I'm working in ICR here today. I was a bit confusion. Actually, the thing is that, like, it says that during this ocean of Tethys before it was ocean, but I was a little bit wondered that after the collidal of this one Angara and Gondwana land. So is it? I mean to say that the organisms, the water hydroorganisms and whatever. But the thing is that in Pangong Lake, I didn't found anything. So it is. So I mean to say that it's also is a part of before. It's a part of this one. This lake was part of other oceans.
So
Is it
these
so,
lakes,
sir?
the lakes that you see right now, like Pangong and Sokar,
Yeah, because actually,
they are
sorry,
not
sir.
as old
Sorry,
as
sir.
they are
Okay,
not as
okay.
in Pangong, they are not as old as the tectonic collisions and the landmass, and these are lakes
Okay.
that have formed much later because the geological land masses also, once the evolution takes place, you are having valleys form, you're having mountains take all kinds of geological processes that take place, and then the lakes
Okay.
form. So these lakes, so
Mhm.
you're very much right that there was an ancient ocean called the Tethys Sea. And inside that ocean, there were some complex mammals that existed. And I know many of you might have seen in Ladakh, you find many fossils,
The
marine fossils.
fossils. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what
So
that's what I was a little bit
those are
confused because
those
the
are ancient
fossils from Laos, Spiti, and Ladakh. Sir, sir.
those are ancient organisms. They no longer exist, and the waters that we find now are much newer. And the small organisms that you might find, like in Sokar, we find these small simple organism called ostrocords. So ostrocords are very simple organisms.
Okay.
So these kind of organisms have evolved much later. They have not seen the same ancient oceans that existed when India was ramming into Asia, and that ocean got uplifted and eventually dried out and left behind the marine sediments and the organisms that we find. So the life form of today in the lakes is living in a very different waters that might have existed back then.
Fine, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I will be happy to, Tashiji, bring more experts as well for these kind of webinars who are specifically researched in geology, microbiology in specific areas. So we can plan some more webinars as well that can answer some of these questions. Very nice questions students are asking.
Yeah, definitely, Dr. Siddharth. So in Ladakh Science Foundation, we have one more program, lecture series on advanced technologies or Science for Society lecture series. So we have been doing. So I definitely need your support in inviting such experts. So definitely we do. And regarding what you said now in the career related program, so we will do one different session on mainly on the career related from you. That will be different. So today's program, I would like to reiterate to the student that today is mainly on the program Earth and Space Exploration Program in Ladakh. So regarding that, so maybe because of that, in some other aspect we will not be able to cover. So because of lack of time. So definitely in another sessions we will cover other aspects also. So any other questions from the students? So if not, then yeah, is there some of the student they said like you then okay. So we have with us Kunal Mehras ji. Kunal sir, are you there? Kunal ji?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah. Would
Ashish.
you like to throw some more light on the program and like you can speak something about this program, if, or about your cosmic adventures? Yeah, you can switch on your videos now.
I'll do that. Give me a minute. I'm in a basically very low network area.
Okay,
I'm out of home and speaking from my mobile.
okay.
And Cosmic Adventures was just started this year after we did the Spaceward Bound, NASA Spaceward Bound 2016 with Siddharth. I was a logistic partner with them. And after doing that program, we decided to do something in Sokar area because of the studies and everything which the scientists in Spaceward Bound did. So late 2019, we planned to have a Mars space station in 2020, but due to COVID, the things couldn't plan properly, and now we have planned for 2021 and 2022. I'm audible? My network is very low.
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Okay. And Cosmic Adventures is collaborating with Amity University, Mumbai, and will be handling all the logistic part of the expedition in Sabu as well as in Sokar. And myself and my team with Sanjay Gibran and all the other people. Anis is also there. He's one of the directors of Cosmic Adventures. Anis is there. He's a local, my friend from Ladakh. Anis is there.
Yeah, I am very much here. Yeah.
Okay. Kashiji, Anis is from Ladakh only. He lives in Leh, and he is one of the directors in Cosmic Adventures, and he is one of the logistic partners who will be taking care of all the logistic support, ground handling, and everything in Ladakh. With Sanjay Sharma ji, who is the operations head. And Cosmic Adventures was established this year in 2021 after we decided to plan for ESEP 2021 this year. Anis?
Yeah. Tell me.
So we will,
Hello?
yeah, Anis bhai, we will definitely plan some events for the local students, and
Okay.
on some of the days when we are resting also, we can plan some interaction in close coordination with the Ladakh Science Foundation in
Okay.
either in Sabu or somewhere in Leh only with some of the resident
Okay.
scientists. We will definitely
Yeah.
work with them, and Dr. Tashi has also offered to make a case to the UT administration to maybe sponsor a few students to participate in this program. So we will definitely support him in putting that proposal together and submit it to the UT administration, because we are putting so much of effort to bring such scientists from all around the world. So this opportunity should definitely be given to as many students as possible, and especially the ones who are there in Ladakh as well. So we will seek your help, Anish ji and Dr. Tashi ji, to make this happen.
Thank you, Siddharth. I'll be get in touch with Mr. Tashi. Julie, I'll be in touch. So we'll push up this with the UT administration to get some funds and for student. We will think over it and we'll work with the UT administration how things can be done.
Definitely, Anis and Kunal ji. So we will try our best. So, but at this point of time, we cannot, guarantee or assure the students. So we will 100% will get some assistance. But there's nothing wrong in trying and pushing the case forward. So that we'll do. At the same time, I would like to request Kunal ji, Anis, and others. So if possible, from Cosmic Adventure, some scholarship of something special, not many, at least one student in one batch that you can consider. So that we will discuss in some other forum. So we'll work out what are the best possible we can do. And what's the Dr. Siddharth just now given a proposal, maybe in when those eminent scientists are in Leh. So definitely we have a plan to do some student interaction or some lectures in Leh that we will do. For that, it's not a big issue. Like to do student, they don't need to travel to Soka because there is a cost involved in that. So when the student participate in the program, so they have to go. There is logistic requirement. There's a transportation. There's a food. There's a camping cost. There is a experiment, the instrument, and other things. It costs. So it's you don't think that it's money. It really costs. So particularly this when they do some scientific experiment, so there is a cost involved in that. So we will see how to how we can get this benefit to the local student. And on the other hand, this conducting lectures, interactions for the student at Ladakh, that can be done. There's no issue. But still, now it's a pandemic time, COVID situation, so we cannot do in a large scale. So otherwise, we could invite also hundreds of students. So that may not be possible. So sometimes we may do like a webinar like this. So we may select very few students. So and those things will explore, and we'll come back with some plan. So we'll share with you. So that's for what from our side. So and the Ladakh Science Foundation, the volunteers and some resource person, definitely will be supporting. And from our side, Ladakh Science Foundation right now, Mr. Nawang Tilles, he has also joined now. So he's Nawang Tilles. He is our executive director, Ladakh Science Foundation in Ladakh. So he is based in Ladakh. So I would like to just introduce to the team. Tilles, your network again gone. Yeah, Tilles is there. So Tilles is a friend of mine. He did engineering, then he started his own like a company. So he runs his own company in Ladakh. Ladakh, he mainly in this, renewable energy and many other sectors. He works in Ladakh, and he is also the chairman of CIA. Confederation of Indian Industry Chambers in Ladakh. So, and he represents many other organizations. So he is our local partner in Ladakh. So Mr. Anang Tilles will work very closely with Anis in the local any logistic. Anyway, logistic will be taken care by Cosmic Adventure, but we can also help them. We will help, our volunteers will help. So then Anang Tilles, would you like to say some more thing? Tilles? You are mute. It is muted. Unmute.
Kale, I'm also a CIA member. I know government things very well. What we can do is we can tell Mr. Navantiles to get some CSR fund because he is already in the CSI. So we can go ahead with sponsorship through CSR, corporate social responsibility, if possible.
Yeah, definitely. Good evening and very welcome to all the participants. Dr. Tashi already introduced me that I'm a director of this Ladakh Science Foundation and also chairman of the CIA for the Ladakh zone. And I know Mr. Anis very well. He's our member, and I will definitely try my best to get some CSR this program for the organizing such program in summer in Ladakh. So basically, I'm a electrical engineer. Earlier, I was in power development department as a maintenance engineer. Then I quit my job in 2008 and start my own business. Right now, I have associated with renewable energy resources in Ladakh. Right now, I'm working with ONGC for this geothermal project in Puga Valley. Recently, they are visiting and demarcation the location for these wells, and hopefully we will get this energy by next year, definitely. It was also pleasure to hear from Dr. Siddharth Pandey that you are going to set up a Mars project in Ladakh. So hopefully we will definitely assist you and support you in all the way from Ladakh Science Foundation. Definitely from even from CIE for getting this CSR funding for organizing such seminar and webinar for the benefit of the Ladakhi aspirant student. Definitely.
Thank you so much, Nawangji. We look forward, and our pursuit to approach companies for CSR continues, and I think with this partnership with Ladakh Science Foundation, it will give us more credibility that we are working with the right local group, and all the funding that we are approaching to get from CSR will go towards supporting students to participate in this program. So we will be happy to provide any documentation from our side whenever we are approaching any company for CSR funding.
Okay, it was very good and very informative interaction. We are our director, founder, and trustee, Mr. Tashi, is always doing such a good platform and giving so informative for the benefit of the Ladakhi student. Thank you, Tashile.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, Sanjay Sharma ji, are you there?
Yes, sir. Namaskar, Jule, everyone.
Jule, sir.
Yes.
You can share your thoughts about the program.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, and it's been a pleasure working on this project. I will be having all the operations and logistics on ground with Anish Bhai, taking care of all your students. So rest assured that whoever is going to be participating will be totally taken care under all COVID-19 protocols which we are going to be following in, and we are ensuring all the medical backups and everything. The program is going to be very interesting. It's going to be a 6 nights, 7 days program with 3 nights in Sabu and 3 nights in Sokar. And with mentors like Siddharth sir and other international scientists joining, it's going to be a great learning experience for everyone. So we look forward for all support from Ladakh Science Foundation and everybody joining this program. And thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be part of this webinar in the evening. It's really good interacting with everyone.
Thank you, Sharmaji. Thank you very much. So, Siddharth, like any final comment from your side?
I would just like to thank Dr. Tashi for reaching out firstly and reaching out to be part of this project. We are very fortunate to connect with you. Your personal connection with Ladakh as well as your current responsibilities in ISRO are very strategically important for all the work that we are planning to do in the coming years. So we wish to continue. We also look forward to involving some of the students from Ladakh Science Foundation already in some of the initial work in setting up for this program. So Anish ji and Sanjay ji will work closely with Nawang ji, and we can already involve some people who are there in Ladakh because there will be certain logistics support that we will be needing in terms of some help. So I think that will be great, and we will strive to ensure that education and outreach is very much there in Ladakh for the Ladakhi students and for the Ladakhi people in terms of awareness about this project. That is the most important thing. We want people not to just come to Ladakh and take photographs and litter the place and go back. We want them to understand that the value of the site for understanding the present as well as preparing for the future. So with that kind of thinking, we want to ensure that everybody is part of this project. It is not just a high level science project that we are doing and just leaving the region. We want to work closely with the local people and ensure that everybody benefits from it. So those are just some of my initial thoughts, and I thank you once again for this opportunity.
Thank you,
Yeah. Anybody else who would like to say? Otherwise, we'll end up the program. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Siddharth Pandey. Thank you very much for sparing your valuable time, and it is very informative talk about this ESCP program, and definitely it is a very golden opportunity for the student from Ladakh, particularly those who are interested in astrobiology and the science part of it, and it definitely adds value to your career growth, and particularly like getting mentorship from the world-renowned scientists, and your networking in the scientific community, that matters a lot. So it's definitely a very good opportunity. I request all the students to be active and will to know about this program, and if possible, those who are able to attend, that's well and good. Those who are not able to attend, don't worry. So we'll conduct some other program in Leh itself, either physically or like a virtual webinar. So that way we'll try to take this benefit to each and every students in Ladakh, those who are interested in science. So thank you, Dr. Siddharth Pandey once again, and initiating this program in Ladakh. Even though you have many other options in India, but you choose to do this program in Ladakh that too for 3-4 months. That's really commendable. I, on behalf of Ladakh Science Foundation and the people of Ladakh, would like to thank you, and thank you for bringing this program to Ladakh. Thank you very much. And also the Cosmic Adventure for coming up with their fundings and their support, and then the Kunal Mehraji and Sanjay Sharma and their local partner Mohammed Anis. So we will definitely help you in whatever way possible. We have a lot of volunteers in science foundations, and definitely will support you. And our executive director Naung Thinles, he will be the main focal person in Ladakh. So in close coordination, we will make it a grand success, and we look forward for more lectures from Dr. Siddharth. So we will do some other program which will be beneficial to the students. That is what the Science Foundation, our motto is to ignite the young minds of Ladakh. So that is our motto. So this is how we are trying to ignite. So, and this is a very good platform. So all of you should be very excited, but don't get disappointed. Like if you're not able to personally visit or join in the program, there's a limitation in number of seats. Okay, so each batch may be around 15 to 20 students only. So don't get disappointed, but at the same time, you will get all the informations about the program and what are the scientific outcomes, and we'll try to bring in some video later on, so that you can see those activities later on, and those who are not able to attend. So once again, thank you very much, and of course to Amity University. Amity University, thanks to the Amity University for conceiving such a good program. And of course, like Cosmic Adventures and many other partnering like organization around the world, like space agencies. So we hope to see it as a grand success. So thank you once again. Thank you, Dr. Siddharth Pandey, Cosmic teams, and our Science Foundation team, and all the students and others professional from Ladakh who has participated in today's webinar. Thank you once again. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Kali.
very much, sir. Thank you very much, Julius, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.